So a lot of non-engineers feel that they have a disadvantage there, or the engineers have an upper hand.
So every time when we say engineers have an advantage, all that matters is how do they prepare and what do they do.
Not many concepts are something that is hidden from non-engineers.
Yeah.
What would you suggest in terms of regular practice, or what would you suggest them do from the scratch level so that their quant becomes excellent?
This is something that anyone can begin with. Anyone can have a grasp of it if they prepare in their early time.
You need to have math. So if anyone is with the thought in mind that they can do it without math. So Bhaskar sir, we've heard this from a lot of students that non-engineering students don't have an advantage because the major part of the CAT syllabus is covered by quant and math heavy. So a lot of non-engineers feel that they have a disadvantage there, or the engineers have an upper hand. So is there anything that we could talk about that could help our non-engineering students excel in the quant section?
Sure. I think that's a topic of the day, and that's a top priority thing, because I've heard a lot of people tell me the same. Oh, non-engineers, do they have a disadvantage? The answer is no. So every time when we say engineers have an advantage, we live in a world when we say someone has an edge, we automatically assume that the other part of the group category has a disadvantage, but that's not true here. So engineers do have an edge because of the fact that they've been doing engineering and every year, almost invariably every semester, they have a math paper. So they've been used to it.
Okay.
Non-engineers, they have to amp up their preparation. They have to probably put in another 30-45 minutes of prep for the quant part. But I don't really think they have a disadvantage to begin with. Can they crack? The answer is definitely yes. All that matters is how do they prepare and what do they do. The moment we answer that, it's done.
I think if you do a deeper dive into the syllabus, you would realize that not many concepts are something that is hidden from non-engineers. Say percentages, or say profit and loss, or any arithmetic topic. In fact, we can clearly say that that's something they would have done it in the 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade.
Definitely.
We don't get any such topics or such questions in quant that deal with 11th or 12th standard math at all. So even if you're a non-engineering student, I feel that you would have any which ways done math till 10th. The only difference, the only thing would have been the timeline there, because an engineering student would have had math a little longer than a non-engineering student. So if you are from a commerce background or from the arts background, what misses out is just that you've had a gap. Now the idea is, if you put up a little extra efforts, right? Instead of, say, if an engineering student for math, if he gives 1 hour, like you said, if he adds another half an hour to it, right? Just 50% extra efforts if you do, I think you can definitely crack that section.
Definitely.
And this again, I think, is a very big myth that only engineers get through CAT, right? We've seen over the years that there are non-engineering graduates also who crack it. But the only difference that goes off with the quant section is that the predefined notion that they have, that I am not from a math background and math for me is difficult. That's where a lot of people lose off their edge there. So what would you suggest in terms of regular practice, or what would you suggest them do from the scratch level so that their quant becomes excellent?
So to begin with, as you said, the math that you get in quant or anything relevant to math here is going to be your high school math, not even your higher secondary, 11th. Well, it has got nothing to do with applied mathematics. So as you said, it starts with arithmetic. You look at it, the syllabus is very defined when it comes to quant to the least. So you talk about arithmetic, algebra, number theory, geometry, modern math, and invariably, irrespective of your UG stream, you have done all of this in your high school. So the best thing to probably do is begin with arithmetic. As you said, profit and loss, ratios, averages. This is something that anyone can begin with. Anyone can have a grasp of it if they prepare in their early time. So one place probably where they might add on here is probably about the calculation and all the math part, the preparation part, because once again, as you said, it's the gap, it's the exposure to it. Another 4-5 years of math again in their PG, UG makes the engineering kids a little more comfortable to the calculation.
True.
The non-engineers might have to probably work on the calculation, but hey, it is not a speed-based test. When you talk about CAT, you're not talking about a speed-based test. It's going to be conceptually strong. You have to have your fundamentals strong. You have to have your theory part. No, we are not doing gimmicks here. You get your fundamentals right. You get your ideologies right here. We can crack. Or maybe start with the simplest of percentages, ratios, averages to begin there, and then gradually add some other topics. Could easily put you there.
So then indirectly speaking, it's like riding a bicycle, right? You don't have to continue riding a bicycle, but the moment you sit on a cycle, your muscle memory kicks in and you automatically get the groove of it. So yeah, you might have to put in a little extra efforts, but it doesn't mean that they have an upper hand there or they have an advantage there. I think major places where people get scared when it comes to quants is when you have to get into algebra part of it, right? Dealing with variables, dealing with equations, dealing with functions, logarithms, it kind of becomes like a heavy thing for them. So then in that case, what would you suggest?
I would ask all those people who find this heavy duty math to be a nightmare to keep them for last. Save it for the last. The moment you start feeling comfortable about the other parts, you start with arithmetic, we say it's going to be the mothership of your entire quant. 22 questions, you are looking at least 30 to 40% of the papers sitting here. So getting this in the bag shouldn't be a problem to begin with. Once you do that, algebra, yes, algebra is one part where we people usually have some problem over there. Maybe we can probably add that at some point and then say, hey, I've done my arithmetic part. Maybe I'll add some algebra. Is that an optional thing when it comes to algebra? No. Because some part of your arithmetic does deal with some part of algebra here. So there's one intersection that's mandatory. We talk about functions, inequalities, geometry. If you find it to be utterly nightmarish, maybe you can just save it, just run through all the basics, and still you are looking at the 95-ish percentile in the paper. That shouldn't be such a huge deal. But I have seen people who pick it up in the last stages, latter stages, and then still crack this. They get a gist of number theory, PNC, geometry. They get the basics, their theorems right, and still get one or two questions over there, which automatically puts them in the 99th percentile.
Right.
I don't think that adds any difficulty once.
So in short, then what you're saying is start off with things that you are extremely comfortable. Get comfortable in that seat. The moment you know that, okay, your brain is now warmed up to, gather new information, or let's say old information, refreshed memory. Once you do that, so start off with something very comfortable and then move on to more complicated concepts like algebra or even geometry. Me being from a DILR background, right, I feel that you can't do it without math. You need to have math. So if anyone is with the thought in mind that they can do it without math, like you skip complete math, that cannot happen at all. Because that won't just affect one section, it affects two sections automatically. And while we are talking about, sections, we know that all top B schools have this sectional cutoff. And if you don't crack it, say you're very good with verb and you crack the VARC section, you still don't have that advantage because your overall will automatically drop and you won't clear off that sectional cutoff. So what I feel is, say with geometry or with algebra, rather than going with the standard approach of mugging things up, that this is the theorem or this is how logarithmic forms work or whatever, I'd rather suggest them to think of it as a story where you're understanding what the character is trying to tell you, right? Be it, say, a basic proportionality theorem, or be it any theorem that you take in geometry, or you take any concept from algebra also, the core of it still remains logic only.
Correct.
The reason why you're doing this, there's got to be a logic behind that, right? So rather than focusing on the front end of it, that, okay, this looks quadratic equations look very complicated for me to solve. How do I do it? Rather than that, try thinking of it that you're rather just placing the values of x there. How you find out the value of x is up to you. Right? Whether you go from the options and do it, or whether you, use a formula and do it, or whether you try to understand what each, coefficient means, and then you automatically crack it, right? So at the end of the day, it's just concepts, it's just logic. You crack that logic, and math, I think, should be on your fingertips.
Absolutely. In a simple analogy, if I can give you this, something that we all can understand, it's like someone looking forward to lose weight. Someone who's 90 kgs and
should have mentioned that, yeah.
Someone from 90 kgs trying to lose 10 kgs, and someone from 105, 110 trying to lose 10 kgs, there's a difference here.
True.
You want to lose 20 kgs, whereas the other person wants to lose only 10. So your calorie deficit, your intake, whatever happens over there.
Should have told me I would have made no sweat. Yeah.
But then so I am talking about it. So tell me more. Oh, it's there. So you have to put in a little more effort. Is it doable? The answer is 100% yes. We have seen a lot of people from non-engineering background get into top B schools. 100% possible. It all begins, it all comes down to that one point. When did I start my preparation? How long did I do my preparation? How committed was I to my preparation? And have I done enough justice to it? You have your answer.
True. Nice. So I think once you crack the basics of quant, then you go into the moderate level, the advanced level of it. Your quant section is secured. At the same time, your data interpretation bit is also secured. That's, I think, 2 birds with a stone.
Exactly. We'll talk about the DLR part down the line at some other point, some other time. But you are basically having some 30% of DLR covered, some 40% of DLR covered, 10% of your quant covered. To talk about it, that's almost like 65% of your CAD prep done. It all wires down to VRC, which I feel people will grasp it. It's not a matter of learning anything new. It's a matter of getting comfortable with the language, which we'll talk about it some other time.
So if you're also a non-engineering graduate and you're worried that the math might put you one step back, all you need to know is that if you take longer leaps, if your steps are a little longer, you can still reach at that same destination in the same time frame. So all the very best, folks. Cheers.